Here is a question that gets asked plenty, or a topic that is not even understood by many. How do you become a pro mountain bike rider? Well, the simple answer to that is hard work, dedication, and injuries. However, today I'm going to dive into more details on how I've shaped my career and how you can turn your dream of riding your bike every day into a reality. Before I explain how it works, let's answer the question of what is a pro bike rider? Well, a pro bike rider is someone that rides their mountain bike for a living. To do this, you need sponsors who will support you with either just product, or they might support you with product and money. In return, you will promote these sponsors, aiming to increase brand awareness and ultimately drive sales for that company. All of this sounds really simple, right? But the hard thing is trying to attract a sponsor. So how do you attract a sponsor? You need to do something which is going to be recognized, which is difficult to do these days. There's a lot of people riding, a lot of people trying to do it. So you need to stand out. There's multiple ways of doing this. You can either do it through race results or enter in slopestyle or dirt jump competitions, or you can gain a presence on social media. All of these things are going to help you to get some recognition, get your name out there and get yourself in the sponsors' eyes. So you want to be a pro mountain bike rider. Where do you even begin this journey? The first thing that you need to do is choose what discipline and what area of mountain biking you want to focus on. I touched on them a minute ago, but we'll go through them again. So you could choose to be a racer, enduro, downhill, cross country, whatever you want to go in. And your end goal will be to win events and win races. By winning events, getting on the podium, making press releases and news reports from that event, you are getting your name out there. You're going to be seen by people within the industry, and this is hopefully going to put you in the eye of some of the sponsors. You might choose to go down the path like I did, doing slopestyle and dirt jump competitions. Again, similar thing, you achieve results and this puts you in people's eyes. However, these days there is a very popular path which is to become a social media or a content-based rider. So you can ride all sorts of disciplines, different kinds of bikes, and you mainly focus on creating projects and doing things which are going to stand out. Social media is a huge platform and it's a great way to get your name out there. So before you even start this journey, you need to choose which path you are going to take. All of them, when you become successful, will create a platform for you to promote your sponsors who will support you in return. Before you start this journey, it's important to know that it's a very long process. So start off really slow, aim for local support, maybe a local bike shop or something like that as your first sponsor, and you learn from them, take what you can and meet people and gain experience and knowledge. And over the years, as you develop your career, all of this will become very valuable and will hopefully shape you and mold you into becoming a pro mountain bike rider. You've got your sponsors, you've been doing it for years now, you've gained experience, you've met people, you've gone from the local bike shop sponsorship to working directly with some of the biggest brands in the industry. Once you have them sponsors, it's not the end of the road there. The work actually gets even harder because you have to keep them happy, you have to keep delivering and keep performing, and that can be tough. It's really important to understand what brand you're working with. Some brands might be really fun and let you get away with doing slightly more naughty things and a bit more sort of freestyle and out there. Other brands might be really by the book and want very clean advertising. So it's really important to recognize what you're doing and what kind of brand that you are going to go after to try and get support from. Make sure it all meets up, and when it does, it will work. You can put a lot of hard work in, create some good content, get good results and live the dream. It probably all sounds super confusing, so as an example, I'm going to talk you through each step that I've been through in my career to try and break this down and make it more understandable for you. Let's take a little trip down memory lane. So I began riding when I was a little nipper, just riding around the woods, and didn't even know that it could be a career. We had mountain biking magazines, but it wasn't obvious that you could go and make a living and do this as a job. So I just naturally fell in love with riding when I was young and just wanted to improve and do cool tricks. I didn't really know it could be a career, but finding the love for it was the first step, because that installed the hard work ethic and just the passion to keep going out riding, because it is hard work and it takes a lot of dedication and a long time to achieve good results. So if you don't fall in love with it from an early age and you're just doing it for sponsors and to be popular, then it's probably the wrong reasons, because it's a difficult road and that love is what pulls you through the difficult times and keeps you fighting and trying to chip away at achieving results. So I found the love for mountain biking. I'm riding all the time, I'm progressing, I'm getting to the stage where I'm becoming quite a good rider. And at what point did I realise that it could become a career? Well, the thing that I saw, which I recognised it could be a career, was going to the London Bike Show and seeing the Action Sports Tour shows. It was Blake Sampson, Martin Ashton, and them guys were travelling around with this portable skate park and performing stunt displays to large crowds, but not only just showcasing their skills, they were being paid to do it. And at this point I realised that it could become a full-time job, and that, combined with the love and passion I already had for it, I just had my eyes focused on one thing. Let's backtrack a little bit. So in the previous section I said about finding your discipline and beginning to gain exposure, and that is exactly what I did. So I was very focused on dirt jumping. All I wanted to do was learn tricks, ride the Action Sports Tour shows and enter competitions. That was set, that was clear. Now it was time for the difficult part, and that was to gain the exposure. So what did I do? Amongst our riding group there was a very good friend of mine, Joe Simpkins, who is a filmer and editor, and we decided to make an edit together and throw it on Pink Bike, see what happened. It was such a long shot, but we was actually just doing it for the fun of it as well. And we put this video out and the reaction was insane for back then. I think it achieved about 3,500 views. Locally, my popularity went up a lot and I was on the radar of local bike shops. We started going to sessions and people would come over saying they'd seen the video, and it felt like a real step in the right direction. And what solidified that for me was the fact that Sam Pilgrim commented on the video. So we had reached a large enough audience and attracted eyes of the best people in the game at the time. And this was the first step onto the ladder for me, and it felt like a big one. So you're plodding along nicely, you are starting to gain exposure, and at that point I was then focusing a bit more on Instagram. I started to grow a following on there, which I was focused on building. But at that time I was dead set on doing competitions. I wanted to go and I wanted to win. So I saw that there was the UK Dirt Jump Series, and in 2012 I attended an event which I entered in the open category, and I come, I think, second to last. But it didn't matter, because in the best trick I did a 720, and that attracted a lot of attention even from the pro riders. So what I'd done was I'd attended an event and I'd gone there and I'd done something that stood out, and that put me on the radar of the people running the event, the other pro riders there, and everyone within that scene. It was all of a sudden, that's the guy that made the video and he's come here and done that trick. He's going to potentially be one to watch out in the future. So I'd started to make my mark. 2013 arrived, and after doing one event in 2012, I decided I'd worked hard over that winter and I was ready to attempt a full season in the open category of Dirt Wars in the UK, which was 5 events. First one I arrived at, and I think I finished 5th, so there was an improvement, but certainly didn't set the world on fire. We then arrive at round 2 and I win it. Round 3, I come first place again. Round 4, unfortunately, I crash and I have an injury, which makes me miss that round. Round 5, I turn up and I win it. So I won 3 of the events, which was enough to give me second place in the overall. Coming second place in an overall in a national series, even though it was the open class, was huge, because I had no financial benefits. Everything that I won at the events was product, which I was maybe able to sell and make a little bit of cash, but it was certainly not enough to live off of. But what it had done is it had lifted me right onto the radar. Through this period, things had changed a lot. I had some local support from Radical Bikes, which is a bike park. They provided me with a fantastic facility that I could practice and train on. We had a foam pit, we had all the jumps that I needed, just ready, like being built and ready to go, which gave me that platform to progress. At the same time, we continued making videos, so that area was growing. And by the end of 2013, all of these things, the results, the edits, that had gained me a very strong presence within the mountain bike world, and I attracted my very first sponsor, which was Dartmoor Bikes through Slam 69 Bike Shop down in Gloucester. And this was huge. I was getting free bikes, which meant that I could go even bigger because it didn't matter if I destroyed them, the parts could get replaced. There was no financial incentive, it was just product. But if you crash and bend a set of forks and you can just phone up and get a free set, that's huge, and it shouldn't be overlooked just because you're not getting paid. And this was a huge stepping stone. At the same time, I also got approached to ride in my first ever shows with Savage Skills. Now, this was huge because this was the first money that I ever earned from riding a bike. You're paid daily to go and do the shows. And when I got this opportunity, I was still working as a carpenter, and it really changed how I was thinking about things. 2014 was off to a flying start. I was moving up to the pro category in the UK contest. Terrifying thought that I was going to be in that category. I also wanted to try to take my riding international. I had goals on going over to Europe and doing some competitions. So with the support of the sponsors, I wasn't happy with where I was. I wanted to keep pushing and use their support to help me get to that next level. I was also doing the show, so I was meeting people, gaining experience. This contest season started really well. I won 2 events out of the first 3 in the pro category, which put me top of the leaderboard for that sort of championship, if you like. Then one evening in the summer, I get a phone call from the Action Sports Tour, the show that inspired me to chase it as a career in the first instance, saying, Blake has just broke his leg. He's put your name forward to fill in for him. And I was absolutely blown away. This was accelerating so quick. I was winning pro events, I was at the top of the leaderboard, I had invites to European contests, and I'd also been invited to go and ride the Action Sports Tour. Pretty crazy. This is difficult for me to get all this out without running on because there was so much happen in a short period of time. So let's break it down. Contest wise, 2014 I actually went on to win the overall for the Dirt Wars series in the UK, which was awesome. Again, huge thing. It felt like I'd finished that UK stage, was ready to go into Europe. To back that up, I'd been to 1 European contest that year and took a 2nd place against some big names, Simon Godziek, Sherwee. There was some real big names there, which I put myself right against them and managed to get on the podium. It was insane. Even when I think about it now, it's pretty crazy. The shows, I was in the biggest shows in the UK, somehow I found myself there. And what came with that, at the 2nd show I did, I get a phone call and I got offered a contract with Animal Clothing to ride for them. So my sponsorship was improving. I still wasn't getting paid by the sponsors to ride for a full-time job. Amongst all this, I was working as a carpenter still, doing my apprenticeship. Luckily I had a flexible boss, so I could be away all the time because I was very rarely at work during the summer months. What Animal provided me for the following season was a travel budget, meaning that I could go to whatever contest I wanted to, providing I was invited, and the expenses were covered. So it was getting better. I was getting free bikes, I was getting paid expenses to go to all these events. In return, what was I doing? I was promoting the brands, I was making videos. For the travel budget, I was in return doing blog posts, getting pictures, so they would pay for that and I would come back at them with a project and a blog post that they can put on the website. All this is happening, it's going faster than I can keep up with. I'm full of confidence. I decided at the end of that year to quit my job because I had enough shows and I'd saved enough money through the summer to live off of through the winter until the shows started again, and get the full winter training so I could attack that season to be the best rider that I could and the best shape and the best condition. It's all going 100 mile an hour, it's all going how I want it. What happens next? I crash. I get invited to Vienna Air King, the biggest contest I'd ever been invited to, and I was blown away. Practicing before the event, I was feeling a lot of pressure, a lot of weight on my shoulders, and I forced myself to do a trick that I wasn't feeling that comfortable on, and that resulted in a dislocated shoulder, which if you followed my channel for a long time, then you would know that I've only just had that injury fixed. If there's ever a point to justify why you need to love what you're doing to take it this far, then this is it right here. Because 2015, after my crash, I cracked and I couldn't keep up with everything. I come away from the shows, I stopped going to competitions, and I just lost the love for it. I had a shoulder which would pop out left, right and centre, and financially I wasn't getting paid and I was really struggling, so I ended up back at work, and it just seemed like everything that was moving in the right direction, it seemed like someone had just pulled the rug from underneath my feet, and it was really, really difficult. It was a very tough year, and I just cracked, and I didn't lose the love for it, but I was almost prepared to sort of say, oh, I've come as far as I have now, and I'm happy, and if it goes no further, that's what it is. But I believe that through hardship and through a tough year, you can bounce back, and I only come back 10 times stronger. And from that, I learned the biggest lesson of my life is that you might not always be in something, but when it goes wrong, take what you can, learn. And what I learned is that biking is my life, and I want to go back at it, but even harder and better than I did. 2016 came around, and that was a year of just rebuilding kind of what I'd lost. I'd lost some sponsorship with Animal and Dartmoor, not just because I wasn't riding, there was things within the brand change anyway, so it just didn't work for either of us anymore. So 2016, I was rebuilding that. I went back to some events, had some mediocre results. Obviously in a year, the progression had been insane, but what had changed a lot from before was the fact that social media was becoming massive. I had a pretty good following on it already, and I decided, as well as focusing on contests, that I was going to pursue the social media thing really, really hard and try my best to grow my presence. Moving forward, I had in 2017 and 18, contest-wise, I had the best 2 seasons of my career. I'd done a few UK events, went to both of them and won them. Went to Rocket Air, rode some golds, got some really good results, which was really cool, and I got exactly where I wanted to. I kind of, at that point, I was getting a bit older. I knew that I wasn't going to be able to keep up with the young kids, but just to be in the same event with them and be televised was a huge thing for me, and it really felt like I'd sort of ticked that box. As this is all going on, I'd always been good friends with Sam since 2011 when he commented on my video. That's how we sort of got to know each other. We'd always ridden a lot. He was coming out of contests as well, and we was traveling together, we was creating videos, we was doing that. So my social presence was growing at a huge rate of knots, because being in Sam's videos is a huge thing. He's the most popular guy in what we do. So that was massive, and that has really helped to shape a career for me. And as I was doing this, achieving them results, that's when new sponsorships started to come. And like I say, what seemed really good in 2014, I come back 200% stronger, and it just been taken to that next level. Everything's gaining momentum. I'm coming away from doing contests. I'm not so motivated anymore in that area. I had a huge calling. I built up a really, really, really strong presence by this point, and my own social media, my own career was starting to shape. I had magazine shoots, MBUK, they were starting to approach me. I then had my own sponsors starting to ask me to create content and do things, and this is where I decided to start my own YouTube channel. And this was a huge thing, because doing a channel is a lot of work. It takes up a lot of time. You have to learn new skills, and I feel that everything that I'd done and learned over them years, the skills on the bike, the riding, the filming, the people I'd met, all of that had just built, and it was like I'd done my apprenticeship, and I was then ready to make a career and get paid by brands. So my first paid sponsorships came around end of 2018, 2019. So I'd ridden for all them years on product and learning the industry, learning the ropes and how it worked. And by that point, I was ready to put strong proposals together and start working professionally with these brands, come away from work and focus fully on doing what we do now, which is quite a good thing. It brings us on to where we are now. And this is what we do. We do the YouTube channel, we create videos, we represent our brands, we do projects, we go and attend events, and that is basically how it works. You know, nothing's free in this world, and you have to work very, very hard. We work 7 days a week, almost 24 hours except sleep. It's a passion, it's a job, it's a lifestyle, and I would personally wouldn't have it any other way. I love what we do, and it's really rewarding to share it with you guys, inspire you guys, and that's what I hope that you've found through this video. I hope that it's confusing, it's been a long journey, and it's really hard to break it down, but I hope that from what I said at the beginning, plus my story, you can sort of piece together what a pro mountain biker does and how you sort of reach that point and become where you're attracting sponsors and doing things on your own. There's so much more around this that I can dive into. Like, I haven't really spoke purposely, I haven't spoke today about how to talk to a sponsor or what you'd propose for a sponsor or what you'd exactly do for a sponsor, because that's a whole nother video and a whole nother topic. And even down to what we do daily, it would be really cool to maybe give you an insight on the process of making a video or talking to a brand, or what really goes into like a day in the life of a pro mountain biker, doing your emails and doing bits and bobs. But whilst I'm injured, I feel this is a really good period to tap into these videos and give you a behind the scenes insight, because you all the time you just see the final product, you never see what goes into it, and especially maybe some of you have never seen the years and things I've just spoke about. So I hope that that's been a good insight to you. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope that if you're trying to make it as a pro, it might have made things a bit clearer and given you a bit of direction. If it has, give us a thumbs up, leave some comments below, ask me some questions if you don't understand something or I missed something, and I will see you guys in the next video.